You know that feeling, right? That low hum of worry just buzzing in the back of your mind? Or maybe it's that tightness in your chest before a big meeting, or just those racing thoughts that absolutely refuse to let you sleep. We call it anxiety, and yeah, it feels like it's just been a part of being human forever. But what if I told you that our brand of modern anxiety, that feeling of being completely drained mentally and physically just by the pace of modern life, what if I told you it was basically invented, that it has a specific origin story, a moment it was named, and then became a full-blown epidemic? And that moment was 1869. So today, we're going to dig into this. We are going to uncover a lost diagnosis that honestly holds a mirror right up to our own stressed out, burned out world. It's an incredible story. Welcome to the Vernacular Vault. All right, our story kicks off with a kind of medical mystery. We're talking about a disease that just appeared, and it swept across America and Europe in the late 1800s, almost like an epidemic.
The condition was called neurasthenia. It's a great name. It literally means nerve weakness, and it was described as the state of just complete nervous exhaustion. And the cause? Well, this is the kicker. It was blamed on the overwhelming stress of modern civilization. The very thing everyone thought of as progress was making them sick.
So where did this diagnosis, which basically took the Western world by storm, even come from? Well, let's meet the guy who invented it. So the year is 1869. An American physician, George Miller Beard, starts noticing this pattern. He's seeing patient after patient, mostly from the upper classes, brainy types, and they're all complaining about the same weird set of symptoms. He was convinced he was looking at a brand new disease. And this is where it gets wild. Just listen to these symptoms: chronic fatigue, headaches and insomnia, all sorts of random aches and pains, stomach issues, that classic brain fog we talk about so much today. And on top of it all, just a constant feeling of anxiety and irritability. I mean, does any of that sound familiar to you? Now, Beard's theory was pretty out there for the time. He basically said our nervous systems just weren't built for the 19th century world. Think about it. The telegraph, the steam engine, these things were speeding up life like never before. Added all the mental work and this new obsession with being on the clock, and Beard argued it was literally draining people's life force. He had this amazing analogy. He said the nervous system is like an electrical machine, with a set amount of power. And if you try to plug in too many lamps, well, the lights are going to dim. Or maybe they'll just go out completely. It's incredible. He was describing 19th century burnout. So this thing got nicknamed American nervousness, but believe me, it did not stay in America for long. This idea was about to go global, which brings us to the age of nerves. Yep, the diagnosis hopped the Atlantic in the 1880s, and it was championed by a total rock star of the medical world, the Parisian neurologist Jean-Martin Charcot. He was a huge deal, and when he started diagnosing people with neurasthenia, everyone else started doing it too. It became one of the most common things to be diagnosed with in his clinic. And check this out, this is the real deal. We actually have a handwritten letter from Dr. Charcot himself from 1888 where he diagnoses a patient. This isn't some dusty theory from a textbook. This was a real-life diagnosis given to a real person who was clearly suffering. In the letter, he writes, "It is purely and simply a state of nervous neurasthenia, undoubtedly caused by excessive intellectual effort." He's saying exactly what Beard said. The problem isn't that you're weak or flawed. The problem is you've been working your brain too hard. And his prescription, you gotta love this. If the cause is too much work, the cure is, well, to stop working. He literally tells his patient to get away from his business for 2 or 3 months. He says it's crucial for recovery. Can you believe that? A doctor in 1888 prescribing a sabbatical? Okay, so for decades, neurasthenia was a completely legit diagnosis, super common. And then, poof, it just vanished. So the question is, what happened? Well, by the 1930s, the medical world had completely turned its back on neurasthenia. Doctors started calling it a lazy catch-all term, a cover for a multitude of falsities. Basically, they thought it was too vague. So the diagnosis disappeared from the books in the West, and all those symptoms we talked about, they just got sorted into new boxes, things we now call anxiety disorders or depression. If you find this kind of historical detective work as fascinating as we do, hitting that like button and subscribing really helps us dig up more of these incredible stories. Oh, and hit the bell too so you never miss our next deep dive. But here's where the story takes a really interesting turn. The diagnosis might have disappeared, but the symptoms sure didn't. Just look at this. On one side, you have the main symptoms of neurasthenia from back in 1869, and on the other, the symptoms of something very, very recent, post-COVID syndrome or long COVID. I mean, look at that overlap. It is just staggering. It's this incredible echo through history, right? It shows that our bodies have pretty much the same reaction to being overwhelmed, whether it's 1888 or today. That feeling of exhaustion is timeless. But the pressures causing it, oh, they've evolved in a really specific and kind of ironic way. So back then, Beard blamed the telegraph and the ticking clock, a world obsessed with speed and industry. So that begs the question, what's our modern equivalent? What's the 21st century telegraph that's draining our nervous energy? Well, a lot of research is pointing to a new and really paradoxical pressure. It's not just the pressure to always be doing something, to be productive. It's the relentless societal expectation to always be happy. This is wild. A huge study across many countries found something completely counterintuitive. In the nations that we consider the happiest in the world, the social pressure to be happy is actually linked to worse well-being. It's like in the places where you're supposed to be happy, not feeling happy feels like a personal failure. Think about it, that constant demand to perform positivity, to post your happy moments online, to always find the silver lining, it ironically leads to the exact opposite. People report lower life satisfaction, more negative emotions, and yeah, an increase in the exact symptoms of depression and anxiety that we're all trying so hard to escape. So, from the nervous exhaustion of the 19th century to the burnout culture of today, the technology has changed, the pressures have changed, but that core feeling of being drained remains the same. In a world that not only demands our constant productivity, but also demands we do it with a smile, is it any wonder at all that we still feel so exhausted?